Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I should probably wait a second. I'm trying to do little ads at the start of my streams now, but hello everyone. So anyone that's new here, I make VRCHat avatars. If you're interested in a commission, you can always reach out to me, samdunder.com. For today's video, or stream, we're gonna be baking some clothing. So I'm gonna go through, I have some clothing I made in Marvelous Designer for a character, and we're gonna be taking that clothing and baking it in Substance Painter to create a very high-res version for the version we're actually going to bring in game. So a little more complicated. It'll make sense as we go through it. But again, if you're interested in a custom commission, just go to samdunder.com and check out my prices. Or mentorships. Always available for mentorships as well if you want to know how to make characters. All right, and this is the character in question. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a good day. So, what we want to do now is take our objects. There's a few more things to make. We still have some pieces here to make. Some small little studs there to make. So a few more objects we should create for our belt here. Even this little piece on the end should get a little bit more detail. Okay. So let's turn off horns in the body and the tail. What I would like to do is actually adjust our little geonode object. And what I want to do is create a mask. So what this would allow me to do is I'd like to be able to target a certain section of the curve when we're instancing it and either delete it or yeah, and just delete it. So let's see. So here, when we instance on the points, we have this curve, the points option. We like how the points are, so we want to be able to set them up in a certain way. And then what we'd like to be able to do is along that curve, from 0 to 1 along the length, delete sections of it. So and I think we'll either do it as inclusive or exclusive. So you can either cut out a chunk in the middle or cut out the outside of that middle chunk. So what we'd want is a value here. Hello, Kai. Welcome. Good morning. And Hazel, good morning to you as well. Welcome. We're working on this belt here. We're going to make it, I'm going to change some stuff around with it. Now it looks quite good though. But I want to be able to cut out some of these instances while we make it, and also clean up this whole dealio here. Oh, also we want to merge the caps. That would be good. Join them and then merge it based on the ends. So why don't we do that first? We've got this little cap. We can kind of see that it's in need of some work. So we switch to wireframe. And still a little offset. Good morning. It's like 11 a.m. for me, so I probably should have woken up earlier, but worked yesterday. I definitely relate to that. Hmm. Okay. So this value will go from 0 to 1. Oh, that's right. Yes, so I had a character I created a while back um, for Bones. Bones. So this here was the character design. Let me go ahead and open the reference image. So this is the character design. And then in the final version, I believe we have everything in here. Let me just do one thing really quick. I'm going to do full screen, just make sure everything's fit for streaming. One moment. But also, hello, good morning. Darn, looks like I don't have the textured version here. Okay. So, go back to desktop stream. Whoopsies, wrong one. There we go. I'm gonna have to grab that character from my Unity. It's gonna take a little bit to open. The Unity projects are a little slow when they're opened up, so forgive me, but it'll take a little bit of time. I can always screenshot it to you later. It should be. Just go into Unity projects and search. Make sure the character's name Bones. We'll come back to that. But yeah, I want to merge by distance. But the difficulty is I don't know how perfectly this lines up. It's better than before, but I still see a bit of a gap. Not right there. Just right there. So is that a problem with my app? It is. It is slightly different. Okay. So that's not ideal. I guess then I would want to take this, delete it, so we'll take the profile, use a screw modifier on the y-axis at 90 degrees, should give me this section. And this one does line up perfectly, beautiful. So instead of doing that, we'll just do another mirror mod. That still is a little off. Okay, so then it's not actually the profile, it's the curve. So what I'd want to do here is delete this, take this, duplicate it, and do 0.6, flip it. Okay, and now it should be perfect. Now it should actually be perfect. So we shouldn't see any sort of gap on the belt, and we do not now. Hey, awesome. Okay, which means now I can use a merge by distance on my belts, which is gonna look bad. I'm gonna add another 0 to this. Maybe even one more. And then also a selection. We'll use edge neighbors if edge neighbors integer equals 2. Those are the only ones that will allow to merge. Should have gotten rid of that. Maybe 0. Oh, we'll come back to that. All right, let's see if that Unity project opened. Or we didn't even find it. All right, it's got to be in Avatar CC. Pretty sure. Client work. It's a small project. Okay, not there. Really? Where'd he go? West? No. Boom. No, this is the most recent project. Quite sure where this character ended up. Why do I have so many Unity projects? Next, so I want to make a range to delete the instances. So we have the points and created all these points. What I'd like to know is the amount of points. So what we'll do is attribute statistic here. I guess it's not an attribute though. Comparative points, instance on points, blah blah blah, distribute points on face. Endpoint selection, not quite. Index. Let me just Google that really quick. Blender geo node get point. So is that index though? Because I have index, these are indexes, but I have vertexes and other things. Hey there, Kaz. I've been updating a lot of models recently. Turns out the IK system you had just had the root backwards fixed, sort of. Now, good. Okay, well that makes sense. Was bending a little oddly. All right, did we find bones? No. I swear I just searched them. There we go. Kaizo. Okay, so client work Kaizo. Kaizo is the name. Make a new folder really quick. Then we'll go to Unity projects. Unity. Okay. D&D alternative H&H houses and humans. It's gotta be this one. Damn, where is he? Um, false. Now, how do I get the point total? Domain size. Domain size. So we'll take the geo. Here. And put it right here. Then we have this value, which we're going to limit to be a range of 0 to 1. So we'll take the point count and multiply that by this value. So that this will be our minimum value, min value. Why don't we just get our group input really quick? Input. And we'll try set this to 0 and say minimum. Okay. Then we want to delete geometry point if we compare the index Now, when I move this up, all right, not working. Minimum. So say I had 0 or the other way. That should work. Mesh, point cloud. There we go. So now we can start deleting some of these. There's some duplicate ones we don't want. So that's the minimum value. And then we'd also like another comparison. Would be that same point count, but we're going to use let's call this duplicate, call this maximum, and Boolean. There. Let's put it right there because it's a little nicer. And these should be a factor. So they should only have a range of 0 to 1. Minimum 0. Cool. Now to delete the backwards amount, we're going to take our maximum which actually I guess would default to 1. Yes. Multiply it against the point count. And if the index is greater than or equal, and actually we'll do less than or equal. There. No, I guess just less than. It's greater than. Put that there. Then we can bring this down and take out stuff on that range as well, which is good because we have this little intersection here. I don't really want that. We'll just do that. Maybe one more, just so it doesn't intersect. And then I actually don't want them to go all the way to the edge of the belt. In fact, maybe before the cap, How cool is that? Fucking love Blender. Beautiful. Okay, so now we have control over that range. The only thing we'd like to do additionally is to make a Boolean value, which we'll call inclusive and we'll make this a Boolean. And then what we do, we make a switch. It's a Boolean switch. And then we can make a Boolean math called a not, which will swap our selection. So if it's inclusive, we want to keep the ones in the middle, and exclusive swaps them out. So inclusive would be what we have. Exclusive would be the exception. Now, I guess the other way around. Oh, no, yeah, we want to set it to inclusive. That should be, oh yeah, and then we should actually use the value we made. Bada boom. right there. And so now we can toggle which side of that selection we're actually keeping. Super useful. I'm gonna go to the restroom. Be right back. 1 moment. All right, I return. It still didn't find this character. What the heck? I have files there. Where would it be? Did I save this Unity project in a different spot? I do have a lot of projects here. VRCV2. Yeah, where's that saved? Maybe that's why. Oh yeah, why is this project here? Oops. Oh. No, assets. This is definitely an older project here. Probably the very first one I made. One of them. VRC Avatar V2, show and explore. Gotcha, that's what it is. I have a Unity projects folder and then a Unity folder. That makes it confusing. There we go. Okay. So you are in VRC Avatar 3. Thank you. Good. And hopefully should be fine when it opens. We'll find out. Okay. So, cool stuff. Cool stuff, bruh. So now that we've gone and made that additional feature for our little curve instancer here, what I want to do is we can start getting rid of the holes. We don't need holes on all of these, so I think the minimum. Interesting. This should also be deleting things. It should be more like that. Let's say 0.5. No, 0.7. 0.6. Okay, 0.6 is good. Okay, this one will need a little bit more. Cool. Good stuff. That one's fine. Our little anklet ones. Or ankle ones. These need a few more, actually. We'll switch to this view. And let's turn up our instance distance. Go right around there. Say 0.025, just kind of keep it at an even number. And do that for both of these. Beautiful. Yeah, that seems about right. Then, of course, change the, not this one. Okay, something's wrong with my selector. So let's go here. When we switch that between these two values. That should be fine. Oh, duh. Gotcha. Inclusive should have been the default value, but it's not. And maximum was set to, gotcha. Okay, max, that's why I was confused. Maximum was set to the wrong thing. Okay. Gotcha. So minimum 0. Oh, maybe not. Right there. This should go really right around there. Okay, so we'll have to go back and fix the other ones, but easy enough to do. Make sure that's at 1, and that's inclusive. Those should be the default values. And they are now, but we still already had our objects in the scene. So that makes it a little bit more challenging, but not insane, not crazy. Okay. These ones should be like this, which will keep them the same. Beautiful. Okay. And just to speed this up, we'll actually just right click, copy to selected, copy to selected, and selected. It should make them basically match. And yeah, they are. This one should be a little bit different. Ignore the floaty bit, that's for the something else. All right, good stuff. I'm really enjoying that. I think that's coming out super well for our high poly assets. So when we turn off the high poly assets and we go to the low poly clothing, we do have all the belts that we made here. These are old. We don't actually want to use these anymore because not only have we changed the topology, we have a faster way to work now. So what we'll do is thankfully we can target the same curves. We can use the same assets we're using to generate the high poly ones and just swap them out for more the profile that we're using to make them, this and that. We can kind of swap them out. So we'll start with, fuck it, why don't we do all of them at once? Boom, 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 boom. Boom. And yeah, we'll start with these ones, duplicate, and then M, send to the low poly. Find this, take these ones as well, duplicate, and M, send to the low poly. Okay, turn off the high poly, go into the low poly. Actually, sorry, high poly one more time. And what I'd like to do is look for these profiles that I've made, because there is one more profile. Maybe I already sent it over. And if I have, all we'll need is to take this and this, duplicate, and also send over to the low poly. Okay, and the reason for that is we already have our updated profile. I'll put my cursor right here, set this to my cursor. Cool. Yeah, that should work pretty darn well, actually. All right, and then for all of these, instead of using the really dense high poly one, we can just, without having to do anything else, swap it over to this other profile. Profile curve, right here. And voila, it is backwards. So let's fix that. Take this, a 0.6 sy negative 1. Cool. So now we fix that, and we can take all these other objects. Doop, doop, and then copy the profile curve. Copy to selected. How cool is that? That saves me so much time. Honestly, an insane amount of time. Still more to clean up, but we want to swap out some of these caps for a lower poly cap, because this is kind of intense. So to do that, I think we can actually just adjust the screw, because we have steps here, and we could just do something like that. And then, of course, actually clean up what we've got going on here, which we could actually delete most of this. No, duplicate this, combine it with this one, duplicate, duplicated. We want to mesh it, then we want to combine it. Then we invert, delete this section. We have this whole enchilada, delete that side. And now we can swap our caps on these ones for these. Let's do that. Cap. The issue is simply that there's no backs to these sides. I would really want it to be mirrored for some section of this. And doing it by hand is going to be a pain. I can also start getting rid of these objects to instance for almost all of these. That just means the mesh itself is facing it directly. All right, but we've already really cut down on the amount of detail we require. See our vertex count just dropping. Very good. Gorgeous. All right. And again, the really beautiful part of this is just that the high and low poly are sharing the same curve. They share the exact same curve. That's super, super useful because I continue to make edits, move things around, and both the high poly and both the low poly will get updated. Call that a win. All right, I'm gonna duplicate this, move it over. Then I'm gonna put my cursor here, take this, move it to the cursor, mesh it, and use it to make basically a cap for this. Yeah. So cut right there. Bevel that. Take the lower cut. About there. Hello, Ori. Welcome. Something like that. Everything else will be normals. All right. I can delete this one. Then replace this cap. With that one. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. What is this? Now, just now tuned in. Did you make something that like repeats a lot of curve and caps the different mesh? Exactly. Exactly. That's what I've been. Hello, Booms. Hello, welcome. That's what I've been using for making my belts and stuff here. Basically making the ultimate belt generator. I don't know about the ultimate, but we're certainly making a nice belt generator. It's going to save me a lot of time. There's more to figure out, more to do, but I do think that we're on to something amazing. So, if I say so myself. It's going to save me a lot of time. I can say that for sure. Correct, they share the same curve because the geonode is referencing the curve, but none of this is the curve. That makes sense. None of this is the curve object. I can just reference it and pull it into my geonode object. Now, I've been interested in figuring out how to do that. Well, looks something like that. It's not too bad, but I did make it all on stream, so if you really are interested in reviewing, you can always hop back to the version. In fact, I'm going to go into my high poly. We're going to extract the curves from the high poly collection. I think that will be a little bit easier to work with in the long run. That's not it. Still not it. Hard to find. I think it's this one. Yep. Okay, so those are the curves. I'm going to send the curves just into the scene collection. So now they're down here. And we'll make a collection called strap curves. Take those, drop them there. And that way I can start adjusting them. This one needs to be flipped right here. Plus 180. There we go. So I flipped it up 180 degrees. Makes no difference for the high poly. But for the low poly, it does make a big difference because now it's no longer like that. Now it's actually the right way around. Beautiful. And then okay, let's keep extracting those curves. Wireframe maybe a little hard to see them. Yeah, there we go. No, that's not it. Yes, it is. Right there. There we go. All right. Then we got some up here too. I may as well just take all the curves. Give me all the curves. Nice. Including the chains. For some reason are a lot easier to select. Okay, so we'll send those into strap curves. Okay, there we go. So now there's all the curves for all the objects. We're excluding the low and high poly. They're just their own collection now. And I can actually turn on both the high poly and the low poly, make it so I can't select either of them. And now this should make it a little bit clearer on what I'm able to do. Ah, right. The chains link needs curves. That would be these ones plus this one. Send that into here. Go to the high poly, chains all, and then I want you to use this collection. It's really amazing how only 2 streams converted me to the curvy way of modeling. It's very useful. It's incredibly useful. Complicated though. It does take time to learn. But quite powerful. Yeah, but now, since I've set everything up, I can just adjust both the low and high poly versions at the same time. Quite profound, I would say. It looks like they're lining up very nicely. The one I did want to adjust was our This one, I guess. The curve is a little high resolution. And we go to the curve settings. Turn this down to like. What's this curve set to? 4. This one can also be set to 4. Beautiful. $14,000 verts. I'm really liking that. We're missing a few. Missing a few of them. Specifically, this right here, and then all the buckles we're missing. We're missing every single buckle. So I'm just going to do it all in one go. There's more under here, but I'll come back to those. Boom, boom. And we'll duplicate these. Did not duplicate that. Duplicate these. Send them over to the low poly. Turn off the high poly, turn on the low poly. All right. So a decent amount more because we have stuff like this where they're beveled. We don't particularly want them to be beveled. So I think to actually mitigate that is go back to the low poly or the high poly. Initially, we put the bevel on the object that we're instancing. I'm going to undo that. Yeah. Yeah. Get rid of it there as well. I know that's up here. Or right here, these ones. And what we'll do is we'll just do a subdivision on the geometry node, after the geometry node. That way, we can kind of disentangle our stuff. Like this. So that way, only the high poly has the effect. Even these ones, the buckles could do with a little bit more. So, I mean, silly question, how are you dealing with the mesh under the belt? As in the part of the belt that will always remain hidden. So usually what I do when baking objects is I do a bake where everything's exploded, so none of the objects are touching. So there'll be one version where every object's kind of free floating, not intersecting, and I use that bake to get the normals. And then I do another bake where everything's touching, and I bake the ambient occlusion for that. So we should be able to bake the normals really well while still having things touch. So we usually do 2 passes on the baking. That makes sense. Hopefully that's clear. I just a little different, but it works out nicely. Very laggy. Very, very laggy. Beautiful. Right, so that's the high poly. Then in the low poly, what we'll do is for a lot of these smaller objects, we'll also add a bevel, or just the effects I'm looking for. There we go. Then copy those values. And you know what? For this one, we'll actually throw on a edit weighted normal. So that's going to give it a much nicer look. Actually, I wonder. Damn, I should be doing that all the time. That looks so much better. Doop, doop, doop. Oh, wrong one. Oh, actually. Damn. Doop, 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 doo doo. Gorgeous. A gorgeous belt. Oh, one more. Two more. Amazing. So it's still 51,000 triangles. That does not seem right. There's something here that's too strong, too intense. So I had it at 14,000 earlier. Ah, this here. Well, it's not all of it, but it'll be a big part. Still too much. Aha, these ones. Right here. So do that. And for these ones, we want to copy this over. And that's about it. Gorgeous. All right, 17,000, looking good. With the jacket, 20,000, that seems about right to me. We are missing the chains. So for our curves here, we need one more chain, which I will go here. Turn this on, take chains all. Select chains all, duplicate it, and send this over to chains, or chains, clothing low poly. Turn that back on. Okay, so in here, we are using this object. I don't want to use that. We won't bake the whole chain. We're only going to bake like one segment of the chain. We're only bake a single segment rather than trying to bake them all together, because I think that will be a little insane. We can't get a proper vertex count because these are not getting realized. So we need to turn them into geometry, and now we can get an accurate count. All right, back to the high poly. I'm going to turn off the curves for a moment. And we'll take our little chain link, duplicate it, and send it to the low poly. All right, so in the low poly, we can turn down the bevel for sure. Get rid of it. And just turn it down. And then go in, dissolve out. It's still really dense. Gotcha. Because we would want to change this to a weight limit and do that. Okay. So now we're getting less slices in the middle. Okay. Now we can take our chain group here and swap the instance for this one. 69,000. So still pretty gigantic. Still gigantic. That's most of my budget right there, just in chains. Excuse me. Alternatively, we swap them just for a single link. Really, that is not as much as you might think. $6,000 just for the chains there. They do look a lot better. More on that. Not just the solidify. 44,000. I mean, that's a lot. 24,000 just for the chains. Just the chains. You reject the same amount of detail on the chain, even they stay flat. Well, they'll still be flat, but you can make them look a little bit more rounded for sure. We'll leave it there for now. No, this is too much. This is too much. Yeah, let's just get rid of the solidify for right now. You gave them growth. Well, sorry. I probably won't, though. Probably won't. Most chains are done with texture in VRCHat, but very rarely are you going to find one made out of geometry. Even the creators that are very unconcerned with Apology. This is kind of fun. We're using a sampling the position of the original jacket in order to position these. It's working out pretty well. Piece of all the chains made of the belt, how would Unity handle their physics? Does it make it more costly for VRCHat? VRCHat uses a custom system that they made themselves called FizzBones. It is relatively costly. It's all relative. I think there are some things that are just a lot more expensive. You can do actual cloth sims in VRCHat in Unity. That gets really slow. But the bones themselves, if you look at that performance document I sent, you can add quite a few. You can add a lot before it's anything resembling an issue. Now we got to do it by hand. You got to do that by hand. All right, so the question is, do we have enough geometry to bake well? So I'm going to, I guess I'll export this version or anything else, and then we'll worry about everything positioned correctly. Let's make a backup copy, and we'll call this pre-bake setup, or pre-bake UVs. Because all this clothing here needs to be unwrapped. To do that, we're gonna start applying some stuff. Shrink wraps, or sorry, subdivisions, getting down to the actual vertex count here. And I'm actually going to add a few more cuts. Because it needs it. Because it needs it. I'm going to duplicate the shrink wrap. That one. A little bit of evening out the wireframe here. Should be good. We'll duplicate it and apply it one more time and smooth again. Just to give it that final polish. Go. Then for the legs, same thing really. Smooth it. Get it looking even. Stevens. Or when we unwrap, because otherwise it won't look that even. All right, that's good. Then what else? That's about it, really. Not much more to smooth. Now we do need to start unwrapping though, so we'll swap over here. Isolate the leg. And begin to cut. Can't see shit when I'm in this mode. What is that? All right. Beautiful. Take the top, pin it, straighten it, distribute. We'll switch over to live unwrap. This is my quick and dirty UV mapping. This is why box modeling is the best. There is no other way to model. Do box modeling for supper. Okay. And we're gonna switch over to, hey, the Dalek General. Thank you for the sub, super appreciated. Welcome to the stream. We're making some clothing right now for Thick Dragon Girl. So stay tuned. More to ship. We're just still getting into the modeling right now. Hopefully we'll be baking very soon though. Very soon. So our foot needs a texture. We'll call this Shimo clothing. Select everything and copy. Select it. Then we're going to give it an image texture using the UVs. That way we can start looking at the UV mapping. Because you didn't have any UVs, but you did have high UVs, you need to unwrap and then project the low to have the same coordinate seams as the high. There's no concern about making the high and low poly UVs match up. The high poly does not need UVs, only if I was to project some sort of texture. But in general, it doesn't need it. It's only the low poly. Because, you know, the low poly is the only thing going into the game and the only thing that needs a texture. High poly just stays in Blender and is just for baking purposes. Yeah. This over there. Now it's the well, though the only exception being this jacket right here. So this jacket, I did extract the UV maps from. It's a little different process. If you go back in the stream, you'll kind of see it. And I shared the method I used, but basically I used the Marvelous Designer because the Marvelous Designer does have UVs automatically when you make things. I used it to transfer the position. So I made my low poly version like a UV map. And then a little complicated. It's actually relatively, it's simpler than the belts, but it is still a bit of a process. Sam is a dark wizard. Second this. My powers grow. Agreed. One, eight. I believe. Believe that this and this should line up. No UVs for the hives. Never heard of that. I always use them in substance. I'm so lost. Well, for the baking process, the high poly exists to bake the ambient occlusion, bake the normal maps, but we're just taking the information, certain types of information from the high poly and putting that into a texture, and then we can paint on the low poly version while still retaining a lot of the details. But it'll make more sense in a moment, or maybe after lunch, because I'm not sure when. Quite sure when we'll get there, but we're getting close. We're getting closer. This'll be a bit of time though. Still be a little bit of time. I hear you, and the words make sense, but I don't get it. That's okay. Dun, 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 dun. Let's make sure that the back is lined up. Might as well just even these out. We don't need to, but so taking parts like lighting data and deforms and applying that data to the low poly's form. The form, the geometry itself, we're all making here. What will be baked that will look like form but won't be form are the normals, the tangent normals. Those will look like those are what will make it look realistic. And those are the main details we're concerned with capturing. think that entered my brain. Hello, Shatter. Welcome. I'm in your head. Singing my Blender song. Sweet Blender song. Hey. Hazel, thank you for the follow. Oh, sorry. Let me make sure I'm following up there on your... Hey, there we go. Funny. Bones is right here. Okay, so it's a good example of character. Let me move this over here and I'll send you a screenshot or a comparison of these two characters. So slightly different expression, or actually the eyes are in a slightly different spot. Yeah, definitely getting it. Matching the reference is like my pride and joy. I can get it close to the reference. Yeah, I'll send that image to you via Discord. I should really save that image to my portfolio. Yeah, let's drop it here. We'll say bones. Here, that explains why I couldn't find it. I didn't know I had moved all my folders around. Oh, sorry, I should have zoomed out there just to show the full character. Should be faster to open now. Okay, we're gonna move the breast a little bit. So it's getting stretched out. Breast vertices. Getting those to be as even Stevens as possible. Good, yeah. Good. It's this spot right here. Sorry, close chat for a moment. Go, and then yeah, okay. So here's the full character. Right there. So yeah. It's from a few years ago. But I'm still quite proud of this character. The shoes came out super well. And the little character we made. Yeah, I forgot about this little guy. We even made the little patch for him. His clothing's poking through. So ignore the weird bulge, but it came out really well. Yeah. And it's funny, he kind of gets that like it's a little distorted when I go up close, but that's because of the camera. If I zoom out a little bit or I go to like this view right here, he'll look a little bit more accurate. It's Flavortown sneakers though, so good. They are very good. A little more anime. It's tough because the Unity camera is not the best. But it's nuts. I made this character 2 years ago, so most of the work I do is like furries or anthro characters, and I have a lot of fun doing that. But I do want to start beefing up my portfolio with some more human characters. Sorry, furries. Okay, that should work out super well. Right there. So I'll take these 3 garments. And we can move them around. I guess the spacing's pretty even throughout the whole thing. All right. All right. Isn't VRC royalty all furries, though? I definitely think that the furry community has really taken VR more seriously and by storm a bit more than other communities. There's a lot of anime communities in VRCHat, but definitely when it just comes to VR in general, I do think that the furries take it a little bit more seriously. They're innovators in the space. I'm a furry, but most of my OCs are kimono mimi for some reason. Fair. I like the mix up. I have Al dude OC that I've been working on, slowly picking away at. We'll get to him at some point. All right. Now the real challenge is, can we make UVs for our curves? Or perhaps they already have UVs. Let me go ahead and mesh this one and look at it. There are no UVs. Sad. And sad. But these are actually really crazy easy to UV map, so I'm not super worried about that. I do want to see if I mesh this one. These are not connected. They should be connected. Let's go to GeoNodes really quick. Go to my GeoNode. And I want to merge by distance only the edge neighbors. Do you dream in Blender? It is funny you say that, because I literally did have a dream about 3D, like I was dreaming of my high school gym, and I was like assembling it. Really sorry, Sam. I don't know what's appropriate the amount of questions I'm throwing. No, you're totally fine. You just do things so differently how I learned. Seeing those UVs trigger about 5. Fair. I really personally prefer super square UVs. That's not everyone's preference, but I think in my mind, I'm trying to make the best canvas possible. And so I really have kind of like a canvas mentality about it. Like I'm trying to make up something that's super easy to paint on. Maybe I need to do compare. Maybe this needs to be not equal. That looks bad. It should merge, it should merge. Why isn't it merging? It should merge, please merge. Merge all closed selected points, whether or not they are connected. Gotcha. No, that's not what I want. Well, I knew it happens to me too if I stay on one software project for a long time. If my only hair needs that rigid, squarey shape, the rest you are supposed to Tetris to maximize space. Oh, I'm still gonna try to fit them all together. Right now we're just unwrapping them, and then next we'll map them. I dream about VRCHat. I think I might have a problem. I mean, some people sleep in VRCHat. I've actually been tempted to do that. If my headset was a little less clunky, or if the headset was more comfortable, I might try it. Like a big screen beyond level headset. That sounds cozy. Spending too much time. Oh, I think I know what it is. It is the need to realize any instances we have here. I'm wrong. It's still not working. Okay. I really feel like that should work right there. Spending too much time in VRC, your dreams could start to interpret it as real. Now, it's real in a sense. It's more real than dreams. The BSB looks so nice, but it lacks a lot of features to make it so tiny. BSB? What do you mean by a BSB? I did sleep in VRCHat once before, but only for like a couple hours. Looked a few times VR unintentional. Don't recommend. I regret. Big screen beyond. Oh, okay, yes. It does. Yeah, the big screen beyond. Yeah, I want headsets that size, but definitely feels a bit like a sacrifice at the moment. Maybe in the future, it will not. Maybe I should say less than 2. Less than or equal to 2. That looks like it merged. The vertices are fucked, but it did merge. Sorry, excuse my language. Which means I can now go up to here. We can mesh this, and I can combine these two here. And then we should be getting some good results now. Still looks odd, but oh, I know what it is. The normals are the wrong way. Are the normals the wrong way on this one? Normal's the wrong way on the curve. Oh. Seeing those people that sleep in VRC, how can you even get comfy with them toaster straps to you? Maybe with a Beyond. What I don't get is how people can do it in a public server. How do you even sleep with all that noise? You definitely invite a lot of harassment if you're just laying on the floor in VRChat. All right, let's mesh this really quick and then just say Shift N and or reset the vectors. Boom. Okay, so we can fix them. It'll take a little bit, but we can fix them. Maybe this is why it looks weird. No, that's helping. Interesting. Given my index wasn't that bad for comfort, was sleeping in a hammock. Ooh, that sounds nice. Just hot and gross. You had me at hot, you lost me at gross. Hey, yeah, I fell asleep watching YouTube with friends. Oh, that's charming though. I think there's definitely a balance there. Hammock naps do be fire. Oh! I'm on fire. Okay, but now they're merging. Question is, why are we getting these bad normals? Can I just fix it by flipping the normals here? Yes, I can. Perfect. All right, that means we're now at the perfect buckles. Perfection. Cool. So no cleanup required. Love that. Love that. Nice. Cool. I have hammock once. My neck did not like it at all. Well, it's been a long time since I slept in a hammock. Most hammocks I can't really sit in. I'm just usually I just take up too much space. So I'm gonna mesh this one and then delete it in half. Do I delete it in half though? Maybe I don't. Maybe I do not. Because we can actually it has a little bit more detail than just I don't want to make it symmetrical because then the detail will be lost. And there would have been no point doing Marvelous Designer. So we want to go to UV editing for this one and move it right onto the middle line or wherever. I guess I could get a little more precise with it. Yeah, we'll do the middle line. That or so. And then we can tell the mirror modifier to mirror on the UVs, mirror the U. So, perfect. Isn't the preferred method sleeping for VRC the humble beanbag? When I did it, I was in my bed. A beanbag doesn't sound bad though, and they have really, really big beanbags you can get now. I think that generally it sounds uncomfortable, but nowadays it's probably pretty comfy. Probably pretty comfy. Is there a node to unwrap? I can project, but I can't do an unwrap. That'd be too easy. They need an unwrap node. Geometry nodes. Oh, they do. Shit. Okay. Fuck yeah. How's it work though? Uh, I don't know. Let's Google this. Generates a UV island based on selection of seam edges. The node implicitly performs a pack islands operation upon completion because result may not be generally useful otherwise. So we store what? 2D. How do I make a 2D vector? This is a vector, right? It's a little different. So we go ahead and store Set up on a new node 2 weeks later. So I made a fully automated UV system for base characters. I mean, I've got some thoughts. I've got some thoughts. That's for sure. Ow, I just bit my lip. My thought is that hurt. I should not bite my lip like that again. So face corner 2D vector. Do I have to give it a specific name? What if I was going to use a named attribute? UV. It's just UV like this. Oh, and then I would also need to set a material. In this case, I will use the group input and just drop that right there. I believe loading. Oh, let's go. Well, that makes this a lot easier. Well, not super easy. I mean, there's still a lot more work to do, but I mean, that saves me a bit of time, for sure. Taking over UV unwrapping jobs. It's mine now. Oh, my tummy. Let's see. Angle-based. Conformal. I don't know what's better. Take them all, make an automated retopo next, please. Let's see. If I go into here, let's take one of these and isolate it. We'll mesh it, tab A. Interesting. Interesting. Of course, that one will be like that. That's still better. How about this one? We mesh this one. Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's so close to being like fucking perfect. Because all I need to do after I do that is select all these, keep it on live unwrap, and hit P, Q, straighten. So. All right, there's two because I applied it with the mirror. I'll probably delete the mirror for this one. Okay, good stuff. That's gonna save me a lot of time. Not like a, no, it will save me a lot of time. If I ever have to redo them, pretty much good to go. Ready to rock and roll. I think that what we're gonna do, we're gonna do one more little tweak because I only got 20 minutes left. I don't really need to do this, but I'm gonna do it. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go here and we're gonna make a switch. Okay. So that's the default option. And then the other option is that we slice with a compare if equal a named attribute. I should have factor as an attribute. I guess not. Okay. So we will before we this is very much not necessary, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Interesting. This is also going to unwrap the, actually, all right, we need to do a little bit of a tweak here. All right, so I'm going to change a few things. I'm going to slice. I'm going to cut. And we're going to put the output just as before, because all this processing that we're doing, we really only want to do it to the actual, like, this part, the belt part. Because I'm also putting all of these other objects on here. I don't really want to affect them in any way. And in fact, in the future, I'd probably not even have them be a part of this geo node. I just remove it completely. Yeah. But that's for a little later. Now, what I'd like to do is just take this and we'll just put this in here. Okay. So basically almost the same thing, just we're doing it at a different step because I don't want to affect my instances at all. I don't want to touch those. My spikes and stuff like that. Okay. Now, when we do curve to mesh, I would like to capture an attribute. The factor. Then I want to store it. On my points, and we'll call this curve factor. See it there, and then we can take this attribute, drop it there, and cool. Now we have the factor saved. All right, and then we can use it in our named attribute here, curve factor. If it equals 0, then we slice, which means that these ones should have a slightly better cut. Oh, sorry, if it equals 1. Didn't make a difference. All right, fuck that. I'm gonna leave that alone for now. I could try something like that. I don't really need to at this point. Oh. I see why it didn't work. Because I am capturing the wrong attribute. I'm storing it in the right spot, but I want to capture it from this geometry right here. Then we store it as a named attribute. For curve factor, we'll do it again, as I'm a glutton for doing things multiple times. All right, that looks pretty good. Now, again, we can do that selection, which will feed into a switch. And then if true, we want to use that named attribute curve factor if it equals zero. Damn. About a 1. I can see it different here. Oh, duh. I'm doing an integer. I have to switch to a float. That throws me off sometimes. So if I do 0 and then I switch to true. We have them right here, though. I see them. I see them. Maybe. Oh. Oh, duh. Foolish. Here. Right here. Hmm. Okay. We're missing the caps. These are the caps right here. Okay. Something about this is not quite working. Close though. Well, it's not working for that one, but it's not meant for those ones. It's meant for these ones here. All right, there we go. It is working. Nice. Okay. So we want to do this cut when we're not using caps, because we only need caps when it's not connected. So our switch here will just be based on our input of cap. Add end caps right here. And then we'll swap these. There we go. So that means that for the ones with caps, they get UV mapped properly, and the ones that don't have caps, they get a slice. and we get to use them properly. Cool. My brain's so big. Ah! That is cool. That actually feels really fun. I think that I'm saving a bunch of time by doing that. Because if I ever need to redo these belts, I don't have to redo them from fucking scratch. Thank goodness. Now, my only other thing I'd like to do is straighten them out. But I don't know how to do that, so. That thumbs up means nothing. There's probably a way to do it. Do not need that is going to be complicated. That is outside of my scope for this character. But damn, I'm feeling powerful. Okay, cool. So now let's make a save, backup copy, and we'll save it the same name basically. Looks like everything's basically unwrapped now. We got our little object here, our little spike. It's got one subdivision. I think I would rather put my cursor here, delete that, and make a circle of 8. So we do F, like that. Extrude. Just a little bit better. And it doesn't, it's not subdivision, so. No, I don't particularly care for subdivided points. Are you going to use UDIMs, or how are you going to spread those UVs to get some detail? So what I'm going to use are masking techniques in order to, so Poyomi shader, well, let me back up. To answer your first question, UDIMs are not available to you in Unity, but you can rely on shaders, custom shaders in VRCHat. So for certain things, you can add tiling textures. Like if you have a fabric material, like a repeating fabric texture, you can create a mask for where you want to place that tiling texture and how you want to blend it and stuff. So generally, the standard bake is going to look quite good for all the larger details. And then for the smaller, tinier details, we're going to rely on repeating textures. Very cool. It's looking good, though. Looking very good. The belt buckles here, I think I'll leave them as they are. They look fine to me. They do need to be unwrapped, though. These I will not use. We're going to bake that down to a texture. I may actually combine these two objects into a single one so that we'll see. Well, unfortunately, it is basically noon now, so it is basically lunchtime for me. Sorry to get you excited about learning something and then head out, but I will be going on lunch pretty much right now, and when we get back, we will be doing the baking. So close, so close. Things are looking awesome. Enjoy lunch. Thank you, Hazel. And definitely, I think I sent you some thoughts and stuff. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out. I'll probably be able to answer during lunch or anytime during the stream. Everyone, thank you all for hanging out. Chat, I hope you have an amazing, amazing Friday. If I don't catch you after lunch, enjoy your weekend. Definitely have a good weekend. Sounds teasing and cliffhangers. It's my nature. It's my nature. But everything's recorded. You know, you can always go to YouTube to peruse and put together the learning. But again, thank you all for hanging out. Hope you're all having an amazing, amazing Friday. Enjoy your weekend. If I don't catch you later, Arctic, thank you so much. Thank you all. Love you, chat. Enjoy your day. And if I don't catch you again, I'll be back in 2 hours for anyone that's new here. I just take a lunch for about 2 hours. And if you're interested in getting a custom commission, feel free to reach out to me, samdudder.com. Also, I do have mentorships available for anyone that is interested in learning how to do this. And we'll actually be doing a class for creating VRCHat avatars in about 2 months. So another intro to VRCHat avatar creation. So anyway, things to look forward to. Enjoy your day. See you very soon, everyone. Bye-bye.